Hey, what's going on? Welcome to another episode of AngularAir. I'm your host, Justin, and today we have part two of our application pair programming, try programming adventure, where we are going to be working some more on this scheduler app that we're trying to kind of put together to make it easier for us to schedule AngularAir episodes in the future. So let's jump into our panelists and everybody that's with me. We're all kind of doing this together today. Mike's with us. Mike, how's it going?
Dude, it's Friday. I've needed a Friday. It seems like I've needed a Friday all week long, and it's here, and I'm happy.
Uh,
I
I feel like
agree. I
I
agree.
feel
I
like
don't
I could
know.
use 3 more Thursdays if we're being honest.
Three more
Oh, in order to
Thursdays.
get stuff done, yes, I
Yes.
do not disagree with that
Everyone's
sentiment
like, "It's
at all.
Friday," and I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm not ready."
All
But
right.
I tell you what, I am ready for
What?
Saturday.
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 You're already ready for Saturday?
I've been ready for Saturday since like Tuesday.
All right. Since
But
Tuesday.
to give
Okay.
you an idea of how long my week was, all day Monday, I thought it was either Tuesday or sometimes even Wednesday on Monday, and I was like, yeah, long week.
I'm super confused now. I mean, like, I know there's only 7 days in the week, so it shouldn't be that confusing, but man, I'm like Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. What? I don't know. Yeah. Okay. All right. All good though. Today is still Friday, so we've established that, and that hasn't changed, right?
Right.
All right.
Today, Friday. Yes, good.
Friday.
Robert's
Alyssa, how's it going
approved.
today? I mean, kind of
Friday.
know already. You wish it was Thursday, but other
Yeah,
than
just
that, how's it
lots of
going?
work, but really good. I'm excited to be here. I love this series that we're doing, and I've really enjoyed getting to know more about Storybook and using it, honestly. So I'm excited to dive in.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, wait, that's what we did in our first episode, right? Last week, we talked about Storybook. We used that to kind of start building out some UI components in isolation because we did not have an application at that time. So we're leveraging Storybook to do that. Uh, and then today's episode, I figure we will add an application to our repository and we can start kind of scaffolding that part.
Mm.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. I am going to share my screen today and I will start using we have a NX repo that we have for our AngularAir platform that we were working on last time. And I am going to make use of some NX commands, some generators to be able to quickly scaffold out our application, some feature libs for our application. And we'll start to see where we can throw that together, throw our components that we were creating last week onto there and make some progress.
And I
Sound good?
may or may not have just pushed to main. So
Oh, all right. All right.
So here's
Well,
hoping I didn't break everything.
all right. All right. Well, let's take a look. I am going
Um,
to use, yeah.
Question. Pause.
No.
Did you push Peacock?
Frick.
My stuff
I'm
went
sorry.
red.
I probably pushed Peacock. Can you delete that for me and add it to the ignore? Love you.
Hey, Mike, I messed up. Can you fix my mistakes?
Listen, Mike, I messed up.
So you're telling me I should not pull main
I mean,
right now and
you
just work
can, but your
locally?
VS Code will go red.
It's fantastic. I love it.
Okay, he doesn't like the color that I'm coding in. He thinks it's hurt, like it makes his eyes bleed. Listen.
You're using a light theme, and I'm gonna have to switch from my blue light glasses to sunglasses.
No, you can pull it, but you'll your terminal color will change to red because I pushed the peacock color.
Oh, you push the extension
accidentally.
settings?
Yeah, that one. That is the word.
So if I don't have Peacock extension installed, it won't matter, right?
Correct.
Or is it going to install it for me?
No, it'll still happen
for
because you have workbench color customizations.
All right. Well, let me know when that resolves, and then I'll pull.
Okay, I'll get rid of it. I'll get rid of it. Or Mike, are you getting rid of it for me?
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
All right. So tell us what we're doing today. I'm excited.
Yeah. So in our repo, we have an apps folder and a libs folder. And in our apps folder, we already have a website application that we set up a little bit ago to try and migrate our single page, not to be confused with a single page application, but just a single page website for our AngularAir site. We're moving it into this repo. And so that's the home for that website, and website EDUE, which is Cypress coverage for that, which should be exciting for a single page, but whatever. And then we have our libs folder that has supporting libs that allows us to do things like our UI common that we worked on last week, as well as a website folder that allows us to have some libs, or this one's actually a lib for the website to support it. You can think about it in terms of like features and things like that. So what we're going to do.
Comment, that was really sweet. And hi, Fergus and Jacob. Good to see you. Sai said, back again this week. Today's a festival of colors in India called Holi.
Ooh.
I wish you guys a very colorful and cheerful life ahead. It was very sweet.
Thank you.
I'll be at India in a couple of months for India, but I'm sad I'm missing Holi. It sounds amazing.
Are you traveling to India?
Yeah. I mean, if my visa gets approved, they might go, nope.
Nope.
Nope. Hard nope.
Travel visa or credit card visa or both?
Both.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to use the NX console extension for VS Code. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to use the generate command, and I'm going to find the generator that I want to use.
You're using like a fancy VS Code drop down generator. Look at all of this fancy bits.
Oh, it's great. It's great. Wow. Yeah. I mean, if you got an NX repo that you're working with, the NX console for Visual Studio Code is awesome, right? Surfaces all these commands and things. I mean, you can run all this stuff from the terminal if you want, or command line, wherever. But it kind of gives a UI exposure to it, and it's really cool. Especially now, since I'm having some issues with my terminal, so I'm not going to be using my terminal right now, so I'm going to make use of this console, which will be great. All right,
you can pull main. You can pull main.
Okay. All right, I'll do that here in a minute. So I guess I will have to use the console, but we'll see. Oh no, I could use the Git tools to do that, so we'll do that.
Mike, thank you, Mike. I love you. Thank you.
All right. So the first thing I want to do is we're going to create this scheduler app, right? And we talked about it last week that we need to have a form where we can send potential guests to go sign up that say, hey, I want to have an episode. Here's my information. Please consider me for an episode, right? And then we also talked about having an admin page that allows us to look at all the scheduled episodes so that we can have, know that, right? So right now off the bat, I can kind of think of two features that our application needs to support. It needs to support that feature where we have a experience that potential guests can come to, and then we have to have an admin experience, right? So I'm going to architect that in a way where I'm going to create new libs for each of those features. So I'm not going to do it at the application level. I'm going to do it in the lib level, allowing us to have that feature kind of stand a bit on its own, so that the app level is just cares about setting up and starting the application at the very start. And then all like the individual feature logics are partitioned out into libs.
Okay, I think I'm going to need to see a very small example of this, and I'm sure you'll start on it just to understand what you're talking about, because I'm like the lib level versus the app level, and then you lost me with your complicated.
Well, we have something simple to architect, so let's do it.
Okay.
So I'm going to create a new Angular library, right? So a new lib, and this is going to go in our libs folder automatically. I'm going to give it a name.
I'm like, is this how all amazing developers work? Mike, is this how you work? Like, look at this sweet UI with all the options. What?
I'm in the terminal mode.
You're in the terminal.
Terminal.
You're blowing my mind, man. You're blowing it.
Okay.
Whoa. What's happening?
Yeah. So
did you press enter? I'm confused.
No, I didn't. The magic of NX console, right? And the team that developed that is pretty amazing. So as I'm typing these fields, it's automatically going to rerun the dry run of whatever the settings are that I put in, right? So it just kind of at real time, as I go and add these fields, then it'll be outputting that in the terminal down there to kind of give me a preview of what it would look like if I'm doing that.
Okay.
So I'm going to name this library feature, and this is the feature sign up. We want to do it sign up. Does that sound good? Or request, or what do you want to call it?
Oh, so far, like Mike started and he named it like episode component or something, and I named mine episode detail. So I'm trying to think of like the naming for this. It's like,
How about episode request?
yeah,
Like that. Okay.
I love it.
And directory is going to allow us to set a directory inside of the libs folder if we want to organize it. So I want to organize this into a folder that kind of indicates that it's for this application. So let's say if we're going to call this application scheduler. So I'll create a directory called scheduler, right? We can see like the over here on the right, NX console is showing us the arguments that we're going to send into our command over here. I don't know why my cursor doesn't. It's weird. On my shared screen, the cursor's way low on the stream where you see, but on my screen, it's like right next to these things up above it. So interesting. Okay. So we got scheduler, right? So we see name of this libs is going to be feature-episode-request, and the directory it's going to go into is scheduler. Again, we're creating a library, so it's going to go in the libs folder. I'll go down here, add a module spec. I don't want a module spec file. Tailwind, there's all these other different options that you can do.
Ooh.
I think I'm pretty good in all these. Let's see. Lazy. Yes, we want to lazy load this. And
do we need a prefix? Or is there already a prefix defined in our Angular JSON or NX JSON?
So there might be a prefix already, but that may be for the fact that we have the website as the default app already set up. So let's give it a prefix here. Let's say, what do we want to prefix our scheduler, like AA scheduler, AAS?
That's what I was doing for the individual elements. But if there's a better one, we can swap it. I don't know. What's a good prefix for?
Instead of I guess never mind.
What, Mike? What were you saying?
I'm just wondering if we can do that for everything, or if that's only on a per project basis. I'm looking at the Angular JSON.
Okay. What does it got in there for the prefix for the default?
AngularAir.
Okay.
But that's only under the UI comment. But I like the AA.
Okay.
Prefix. So throw that in.
Should we have one specific for the application, or just roll with AA all over the place and assume that we'll probably be fine?
Because whenever I was doing AA, I was imagining it for like just the things at the very like lower level, and then like if you had like AngularAir or whatever for the other things. So I don't know. It's whatever you prefer, I guess. I'm not used to this many bits flying at me, so I'm going to
let's call it AAS for AngularAir scheduler. How about that?
Okay.
All right. And then our website would be AAW for AngularAir website.
So essentially, the site has like a scheduler side to it, and everything will be AAS that's under scheduler. Is like the idea there?
But
or no?
If you think about it, we're using libraries not for the sake of reuse across multiple, like external to this scope that we're talking about. I'm good with the prefix of using AA everywhere, because essentially we're building one application that this library is just meant to support that, and we're just using it for code organization standpoint. I think we should use the same prefix everywhere.
Because like, do you think we'll use bits from the scheduler? You're saying we'll use bits from the scheduler on the regular side as well? Like
potentially, right? We could.
Yeah. I'm good with leaving everything as AA, because it's all to support AngularAir's web stuff. So if we have a scheduler application deployed and our website deployed, we potentially may use them, and this way we have consistency across everything.
What's with the generate a pushable library option? What does that mean?
Publishable.
Oh, I totally read it wrong. Okay, bye now.
All right, so I'm going to look in the console down here in the terminal and see it ran it for me of the dry run. So let's see if this looks right. So it's going to be in the libs folder. We're going to create a scheduler folder. We're going to get a feature. We're going to get a new lib called feature-episode-request. It's going to come with all the default lib stuff. And it's also going to update our tsconfig base JSON file with the pathing so that we can import from the short path name of whatever our name is. We'll take a look at that. Look good? Looks good to me. Let's run it.
Yes. Although I have been skipping the Cypress part whenever I generate things. Should I stop skipping that part?
No, so you're talking about when you generated like a UI component library,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. We haven't,
Okay.
kind of talked about or dove into, do
I
we
just
want
didn't
to
know
have
if I
like,
was setting us up for failure later.
no, I think that's fine. I
Okay.
think that like, yeah, let's do that. So we're not really doing Cypress coverage on a per storybook component level right
Okay.
now. We'll worry
And
about,
then
we'll talk Cypress when we're ready for it.
Sai in the chat said, in this app development episode, would you be talking about things like Husky? This is great experience just listening to your discussion more than just code. Husky, is that testing too?
Husky is a tool to
Husky.
allow you to run different checks like pre-commit hooks or pre-push hooks to basically say, run this tooling at this time.
Oh, okay.
And as far as I know, it's not something that I'm aiming to get into. I think if it comes up, it comes up. And if it doesn't, then I'm comfortable not touching on that.
Okay.
Yeah, we should plan an episode to talk about that. I mean, we talked a little bit about that a previous episode that we had about around tooling, and there's mention of Husky and how it can help us with our productivity of like post and pre git commit hooks and things like that.
Okay.
But yeah, diving into that a little further would be a pretty fun episode. Maybe we should plan that.
I don't disagree, but I think our initial focus should be to build this application to be able to get it deployed and then talk about quality of life refinements after.
Oh yeah, for sure. In terms of the context of
Prioritization.
our app that we're building. Yeah, the Husky I think would be just like a separate episode of
So
stand on its own sort of thing, right?
did you generate this stuff yet or not yet? Like you
Yeah.
did, because that's what the green
Yeah.
bits are.
Yeah, so we see that here on the left, right? It generated it got us set up with these things. I'm going to delete this README.
So you just generated the scheduler feature episode request under lib, but you were saying an alternative option would be to put it where? Where? Your an apps or something, or an under? Because you were like, oh, we can do this here or at the app level.
Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to create an app called Scheduler. So you'd mentioned about like the website having the scheduler form. Maybe that's where we want to have it. I was thinking initially on like a standalone application that would be the Scheduler app, right? And so it would have its own sign up page that you could go to. It would have the admin feature of it, right? And maybe our website would just drive to that application for that experience.
Okay.
But by setting this up with our lib, having this lib for that feature, right, of the episode request, we could potentially bring that feature lib into other apps. So it can set us up. If we made a new app called Scheduler and we put this feature lib or the feature module inside of that app, and we wanted to say let's use that from the website, we would have some work ahead of us to get it out of the app lib and into somewhere that both apps could use.
Okay.
That's why if we think about at the app level, all we're doing is really scaffolding the beginning, orchestration of maybe top level routes or whatever, and says that's all the app cares about, and everything else is in feature libs. It makes it much easier for us to say, oh, well, let's use that feature lib in this app or that sort of thing.
So it's living outside of UI Common though. So how do I come in and work with it? How do I see it running? Like, is it in Storybook still because everything's in Storybook, or no? Like, how does that relate to?
No, so right now the feature lib is just its own feature lib, right? And it's going to be designed to be consumed by the app, right? So I'll create an app here in a second, and then I'll lazy load that feature lib into that app, and then we can run the app, and from there you'd be running the app and seeing it in the app.
Okay.
We could add Storybook to this feature episode request lib and start storybooking some of its, experiences, its page components or whatever. But the one thing I found with Storybook is there's a level of diminishing returns, right?
Yeah.
It's really awesome for low level presentational components where there's inputs, outputs, they're decoupled. As you start going up the tree of rendering and they have a bunch of stuff underneath them that they require, now when you storybook it, you need to mock out every dependency that thing has, right? And that becomes more and more complex. And the more complex that gets, the closer it gets to being that you just run the app and do it in the app, right?
Yeah. No, that totally makes sense. But I also feel like our like our UI common in my mind is going to be that place to go ahead and build out any individual things. But then this like schedule lib will consume those, right? Like that's,
Correct.
we're going to use them
Yep.
everywhere. Did you see Simon's comment? Like totally worth highlighting. Was trying so hard not to laugh.
Yeah, I
That's good. That's good stuff.
lib, laugh, love. I love it. Yeah. For NX. That'd be great.
I'd seen that. I was in the process of typing a comment in chat that I think you should submit that to Narwhal.
I really do. I love it so much.
All right. So let's give a component here. Let's add a component here to the scheduler feature episode request. So at least we have something.
Do
here,
it.
right?
Make it.
Justin,
do
does
it.
the NX console support generating the component?
Oh my gosh, it supports all the things. Well, I think all the things. I don't know. We'll see. So we'll do generate. We'll go component.
I can't believe
Do
you were
you-
afraid of a little bit of a red color.
Do you want to generate a component or do you want to generate a scam?
Thank you. Let's see.
I love the scam.
Hey, NX,
I'm
do
all
we
about
have
the scam.
scam support? We do. Yay. I think we did this in the last episode, right? So
Dude.
we'll do a scam.
It's my new favorite thing, and I want to do it everywhere. And Mike seems very grumpy about scam, but I am so in love. Like it's so cool. Okay, that's all.
Can you go back to that? Go back to the generate screen where you had that list
Yes.
and type in scam. Okay, scam says single component Angular module, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Carlos.
Why is the directive
Scam directive, scam pipe.
Yeah, why is it not stam and spam? Because I'd be writing a lot more pipes if I could generate spams.
Spam and
Hey, you know how you just suggested that Simon does that submit an issue to the repo? I think you could do the same thing. There you go.
He got you. Okay,
Or
so you know
maybe-
how we have a Roomba that vacuums the house? We named our pool robot Pumbaa for Pool Roomba.
Oh, nice.
So that's kind of what you're doing with scam right there. Yeah,
All
make
right,
it
all
PR, Mike.
So when you clean your pool manually, does that make you Timon?
So we had one of those for the house, and we needed Needy McGee because yeah, like it needed so much attention. You had to grab the remote and point it this way or that way. So we're like, this Needy McGee.
Oh,
All
ours
right.
was our very first one was Sugarbot, and then we moved on to just Roomba. It doesn't have a name now. It's very sad. So now you're generating a scam component for sign up page.
So sign up page. So this is going to be our component for our that goes inside of our feature episode request lib. That's going to be the page. I like to think about it in terms of when I'm building my components and Angular applications. I think about kind of quantifying. There's this concept of like a page component, right? And it's at some point you're going to have, because everything's a component, right? From the top down in Angular. So at some point you're going to have like this component that's responsible for orchestrating the entire view screen for the browser, right? And so I like to call that my page component that says, hey, this is the full page experience. And from there, there's partition below it in terms of the parts and pieces and UI that make it up. But at some point, you have this orchestrator of this component at that top level. And so I like to call it page.
It's like the foreman of the application. You go over here, you go
The
over here.
foreman.
The puppeteer, right? Or whatever, yeah.
Puppet master.
Oh, the puppet master.
So I like to, suffix that with page. So sign up page, whatever page, dashboard page, whatever. So that helps me kind of think about that in terms of what that responsibility is for this component. So I go to the project name. It's pretty cool with the NX console here. It will surface the project names for me. So I don't have to look at the NX JSON file or wherever it is lately and find that string name. So I see scheduler, feature, episode request. Cool, grab that. I don't know why our default styles is not SCSS, but I'll go ahead and change that there because I like me some SCSS. Hopefully everybody else is on board with that.
We're working on that now, boss.
Okay. All right. So we can see again, it's running down there at the bottom, right? We see that here's what we're expecting to get from our dry run based on the settings we're at right now. I don't want to do a spec file right now, so I'm going to find this setting that I can tell it don't do it. Skip test, check that. It'll run again. Looks good. I'm going to get my SAS file, my HTML file, and my TS file. Seem good?
Yes.
Seems good. Let's run it. All right. Let's go take a look. We've got our sign up page component. Let's take a look at it. We got some linting complaining because by default, that generator generates a constructor and an ng on init with empty stuff. We see our prefix that was added, right? AA, cool. I just am not going to be able to get that AA run out of my head with AA. So I love it. It's exciting. I like that. AA run. All right. So I'm going to just go ahead and kind of do some quick cleanup here because we're not ready for this. So we'll just ditch these. We'll ditch this. All right. And so now we have our component. We have our scam like we've been seeing where the ng modules in the component file allows us to say we can just import this to bring in this component. This kind of, now in retrospect, thinking about it, I don't think that we really need this sign up page component module because we're going to use this as a route in our module that we already have. So we might not need that complexity, right?
So what do
let's
you
go
do?
in here.
You're just gonna go delete it.
I might just delete it. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to uncomment this so that I can bring this in. Oh my gosh. It's been a minute since I've worked in VS Code, so I don't know my shortcuts offhand. I'm living in the WebStorm world, so I'll just kind of do this. All right. You kind of always, you can always know you can get back to like the autofill or auto suggest by deleting the last character of something that you put in there, and then VS Code will go, "Oh, here it is. Here, is this what you want?" So there you go. All right, I'm gonna set up a route for this. Right, do we want to give it a path, or we don't need a path right now? Let's just say, hey, look, if you load this feature episode request module, if we lazy load it, the application or whatever's lazy loading it can dictate what the route is to it. And then in here, this thing's going to give us our sign up page component by default. Yeah, look good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right, cool. And so we've got that. We got a page component in there. We've got our module, our feature module. Now let's generate our application. Sound good? Sounds good.
I'm so excited. I want to see it.
Generate
See it.
application. We are going to name this application scheduler and make an executive decision about that. We can discuss it later, or you can tell me right now if you wanted to name it something other than scheduler. I'm more than happy to change it.
Sounds good.
All right. Should we put this on a different port? We have our website app already, and it probably defaulted to 4200. Mike, I saw your stream last night. You sound like you had some port opinions. What port do you want to use?
You're muted.
Demute yourself.
Yeah, I got you. Why do we feel like we need to specify something different?
Because I want to run the website and the scheduler app at the same time locally, and I don't want to be colliding on ports. So, and it's real easy.
Plus 4201.
There we go. But this is a good discussion to have. Like, we got that comment earlier about, are we going to talk about things like Husky and stuff when we develop our applications and our repositories? We can dive a little bit into this thought process here about, as we set up multiple apps, we have a repo, right? A mono repo, and we have multiple apps. We will want to think about like our port strategy for these sort of things when we have scenarios where we want to run multiple apps locally at the same time. How are we going to tackle like coming up with this new port number for the next app? Let's say we add 5 more apps to our repo. Or a better example, let's say we add 11 more apps. Are we just going to continue to go 4202, 4203? What if some apps are kind of similar to the other? Do we want to have their port numbers closer to each other? So just things to think about that I kind of go through when I think about these sort of things. Like maybe I say, I want to leave website and all the other apps that might go along with the website under 4200 zone from 4201, 4202, whatever, and maybe like the scheduler stuff would be 4300. So I just find that valuable to kind of be thinking about that when we make these decisions and jumping in. If you could kind of project forward and say, where do I want to be with this repo? Maybe I can lay that stuff out ahead of time. But that all being said, I'm going with 4201. I like that. All right, so we got our app. We've got all this default stuff. I'm thinking like, okay, so I think there's a router support in here. Yes, routing. So we'll do generate routing module. Skip the test. I think that's it. All right, that's right.
While that's running, remember how you were like, yeah, we'll just put common styles inside of UI common and then that'll like trickle down. Do I need to import that into every like component style sheet, or is there like a place in storybook to say these are I'm confused.
Yeah, so the styles discussion is like a whole nother big discussion. I would love to talk about that and go into
that discussion up.
I just wanted to know that I wasn't doing something horribly wrong. Like if you can just be like, don't import or do import.
I would definitely say you're not doing anything horribly wrong. There's places and opportunities and reasons for all this stuff, right?
Okay.
So I would never quantify it as like, oh, you're doing this wrong, or I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
But that being said, there's some patterns and things that I can kind of identify and go over that I've seen that can, some that have been successful that I would recommend, right?
Okay, cool. Yeah, we need to do that discussion then, because I'm really loving this experience, but I want to learn from you as far as what worked.
What works.
What worked.
Yeah, just kind of like, I would love to dive into that, and maybe we should, set a time to do that, kind of dive in, and we can talk about like the things to think about and the things that come up and the scenarios. And I always like to do, from my standpoint, in terms of development and architecture and all this stuff, is I try and collect all the information that I can, and I just creatively, critically think about it all before I make my decisions, and then just be intentful about my decisions based on trying to have enough information to drive that, right? Okay. Whether that be the recommendations that people have out here for this or for that versus my particular business needs of this and that, trying to just bring it all together to help me make a decision that is intentful and hopefully, guides the particular project that I'm working on to success.
I have bad news.
Tell us.
No.
I found an NX bug.
What?
So Justin was asking why your prefix was not defaulting to SCSS. Two reasons. One, it wasn't configured in Angular JSON. And two, NX does not pick up the defaults from Angular JSON for schematics.
He's saying a lot of words, and I'm what?
You can't default it to be SCSS for all of your scam generations. You can for components because it is just using Angular's component generator. It's not using anything from Narwhal. Did that make any sense? As you're generating, you can't predefine what your style format is going to be. Mm-hmm. That
I mean, it's not a big deal, right?
I just use English there. That's all.
You just like rename it and there's like slap an S in it. Just like move on with your life, right? Like it's fine.
Yes, that workflow is very easy. However, when you are working on a much larger project and you are trying to enforce consistency throughout a large code base, being able to set what that option is,
I see is important.
Is good because then I can go to people who don't use that and say, why did you change it? And they don't have the out of saying, oh, I just forgot. And that's all they say too.
That was funny. Give me a good chuck. A good chuck.
Oh, I forgot.
No, I forgot.
Sorry, Dave.
My bad. My bad.
Does
Okay.
anybody remember offhand the load children syntax?
Yep.
All
Import.
right. Import.
Open is a function call. Passing a path.
Okay. I'm going to go to. I know that there's a schematic or something that would help me do this as well, auto generate it, but I think I
I'm
missed
telling
that.
you what to type.
I know, but I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to nx.json. I'm going to. Is this where our paths are? Yes, they are. No, wait, they're not. Where are they at? Are they in tsconfig base? Here it is. Okay. So here's our TypeScript short path, right, to import our.
That's our short path.
That is our short path. It's what it generated.
You are being sassy, my friend.
We can change it though.
You
All
should
right.
have seen me on my stream last night. I was sassy.
All right, Matt, Mike.
Okay. Good. Dot then. M or module, whatever you want to call it, is the parameter that comes in. And then M dot should give you, yep, autocomplete. You're done. Oh, that needs to be a
array?
function. Sorry. A function that returns that. Yep. There you go.
Whoop. What's the shortcut on Mac for formatting in VS Code? You might know.
Command Shift P. Format document.
Thanks, Tiger.
That's how I
No,
do it.
you're right. You're right. It's like that's how we fish. I get it. All right.
There you go. What was that? Shift Alt F.
Yeah.
Good luck. And then I guess did you crash your code?
It's like what formatter do you want to use?
Oh, I got you.
There we go. Okay.
Did I tell you about the new extension that I'm working on? It's called Prettiest.
Oh.
Really? Are you being serious?
No, I'm just being funny.
Oh,
Sorry. I
you got me excited.
All right. We've got our route in here, right? Our application is going to lazy load our feature module, right? It's going to load the feature module. The feature module has a child route in here that's going to say, okay, I don't empty path. It's going to load our component. Our sign up component has a template that says sign up page works because we're all familiar with that, right? From the common component generator.
You're welcome.
Shall we? Mike, you can't just say you're welcome. You have to sing you're welcome. Come on.
I don't sing.
That's a
Yeah,
lie.
you
I've
can-
heard
Not
it
gonna
many occasions.
You
Many
sang that song
occasions.
already.
Yeah.
Many occasions.
I was younger then.
Okay, yeah, it's true. You were. All right. Let's
Shift Option F. Is that really
let's
it?
use our console, NX console, to serve it. Sound good?
Mhm.
Go to the NX console. We'll go to serve. It's going to know that we have website or scheduler. Let's serve the scheduler. And let's go ahead and run. Do we want to have any settings? Let's just run it.
I just want to see it with my eyeballs.
Oh noes. We have a failure.
Why is it angry?
Hmm.
What does it say?
Oh, I know why.
Why?
I have
What?
this node. I have a node issue. Hold on.
You
I
have a
have to go
known node issue that
NVM,
you
wait.
stream with?
Use. Anybody use NVM?
Yeah, love it.
All right. Let's tell our viewers who might not know about NVM. It's one of my favorite things. It's Node Version Manager, I believe is what it stands for. It provides an easy way locally to switch between different node versions. So you use that, you can now install different versions of Node through NVM, and then you can easily switch between node versions. So if you're working different projects or different applications and you need different versions like I do, it's easy to switch between the two.
Can
Show
I
them
ask
like
a question
NVM
about this?
list or something so they can see like you can
NVM LS.
you can see like, oh, he's got these versions and he's on this version. So that helps me a lot because a lot of times I'll get a node error and I'm like, what am I on? Who has what? And so that I really like NVM. That's really great.
So, one thing that I have found that I don't care for with NVM, I thought you were able to create a .nvm RC file in a directory, and therefore it would tell NVM what version
which one to
use on a
use?
given project. I've never been able to get that to work.
But it's supposed to be a feature.
Interesting.
I thought so. I may be wrong.
I love that. Oh, what? Who made the user coin component? Mike, did you just make that?
Oh,
Justin, did you make that?
No, that was
I don't
me.
make things.
Oh.
The only thing I make is bugs.
Can
All
I
right,
just
so-
say?
Yeah, that means that it looks good, which means that it wasn't me.
That was the
I just-
component I have for our website that I brought into as a standalone component, as a UI component. It was the first one. So yeah, user coin.
When you
There you
say
go. All right.
standalone component, are you talking about the new RFC functionality that's coming with Angular that it doesn't need a module?
It could be.
Or-
We can make all of these UI components.
I mean,
work
like
we
we
have
are
as
setting
that.
ourselves up for an instant like flip switch, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
right.
the magic of Scam, Mike. Get on board.
You know what else we could do, Alyssa?
Tell
We
me.
could write a schematic that would go through all of our files and do that flip.
No, you were
so-
talking to the girl who would prefer to right click a file and rename it to SCSS. And I'm like, yo.
All right. I have.
Did you fix it? Is it running? What's happening?
No, because the NX console terminal is not respecting my change in node because I'm not able to tell it what terminal. I don't know. Whatever. There's a lot of stuff.
Are you running this
No.
manually then? Because you should be
I'm
able to
gonna
do yarn NX start or N whatever.
Hey, Mike, can you pull
Okay.
down the code and tell me why my button's not working? Thank you.
Oh.
No. Is this main?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mike. You're the best. I love you.
All
Did it
right,
work?
we're
Is
there. We're there.
Shut up. Is it running?
Okay. Let's see.
Is that
What does
the
it tell us
stuff
it's running on? Did it run on our port?
I don't see a.
4201. You don't see it because I'm not sharing.
Oh, there
in share.
it is. 4201. Okay. Haha. I was like trying to read all this cursive text. I'm like, where's the 4201? I see it now. You highlighted it. Thank you.
Alyssa, what's the name of your component?
So if you go to the episode details component, my
Episode
button,
details. Thank you. Nope,
my
stop
button
talking.
isn't showing
I'm
up.
good.
Okay, he's so mean to me. It's gonna be something in the modules. I'm just saying, something in my modules wrong. Fix it, and then tell me how. There's a lot of clicking
Okay.
happening.
I know. I'm like clickety clack.
Clickety click.
Clickety clack. All right. We got our scheduler app running. We set up a route, right? What was our route? It was quick. You get a brownie point if you remember what the route was.
/ scheduler.
Oh, close, I think.
I think it was episode dash scheduler.
Dang it. I bet you're right. I bet that's it.
Ooh, it was episode / request.
Oh, yeah,
let's go back up
request.
here.
That's right.
Let's throw in / episode - request. There it is. That's how that page works,
Hey.
right? Okay.
Wow. I really still don't
right.
understand what your bug is, though. Like why you had to do this weird startup thing. Is it a node
yeah,
thing?
it's a terminal from VS Code thing.
Oh, okay.
Like I just got to set up a few more things or whatever.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
whatever. So, all right.
Um,
Yay!
All right. I am going to go back to the code.
Alyssa,
Tell me, Mike. I'm so excited. Mike knows things.
yeah, I ran it, and it looks good.
No, the button's not there, Mike. The button is not red for me. For this girl, it's not red.
Which one's a button?
The bottom two that say reschedule or cancel.
Hey, the button. Okay,
Button's not red.
we're good. I'm good.
Thanks.
All right. I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I am going
if
to
you
go back to
pull,
focusing up on our
you'll-
sign up page.
When you pull down, you'll see, man.
Oh boy.
ma'am.
Okay.
I don't know what I just
All right. Okay, so our sign up page component, shall we use the component we created last week? Mike,
Yeah.
is it
So
ready?
I didn't. Was it ready when we stopped? Because
It was okay, I think. Let's bring
yeah,
it in.
then yeah, it's
I-
perfect.
I just like, how are you going to bring it in? How? Tell me
Ooh, that is a
how.
great question, Alyssa. Let's dive in and find out how.
We
All
use
right.
modules, Alyssa. Come on.
So we
Are you
are going to
sure?
go into our scheduler feature episode request ng module, right?
Oh.
And we have our sign up page component. We want to use that UI component on our sign up page. So we made a ng module for it using our scan pattern last time, right? That was the what do we name that? We can remember what we named it. Maybe I can just get this
What is he
autocomplete
saying?
going here. It was UI common. What was it?
Episode dash something. What was it?
Episode.
What did you name it?
All right, fine. I'm just going to it.
Sorry.
You won't tell us.
Episode.
I fixed Alyssa's issue.
Episode form component, right? So let's
Yeah.
jump to that. We'll go down here. Here's the module. I'm going to grab the module name. I'm going to go back to my other module. I'm going to import that module, right? I'm going to do my little shortcut here. Wait, why is it not finding it?
I don't know. This
Is it
was
not
happening to me
exported?
too. No, surely it is. Pish posh.
Okay. Let's go back to, oh, I don't have my extension installed in VS Code. I made a little mini extension that gave a target to go to the source of the file that you have open in the tree by a UI click, kind of similar to WebStorm. I think I can go here and right click, and you don't see my right click, but reveal in sidebar, and it'll jump to it.
I don't remember because when you said WebStorm, I lost a whole lot of memory.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. So episode form component. So we've got that in our lib, right?
So it is exporting, right?
Well, let's go to our index.ts file. I do not see it exported from here.
I
So
don't
it's in this
understand.
UI common lib, but we're not actually exporting it from here. And that's what we do in our index.ts file for the lib is we provide our exports to say, hey, if somebody else wants to use this lib, they can, here's the things that they can use from it.
I believe that the Angular CLI, when it generates a library, that it was creating a file called public API, and that's essentially what this is service. The function of this file is to say, hey, this is the public API of what this library is exposing.
Can't you just back it up and say export all from lib?
That is, you're so full of great questions this episode. I love it. I love it. You absolutely could export all the things from your lib. But one of the powers that the lib isolation gives us is this ability to say, I'm going to do a bunch of stuff inside my lib, but if somebody uses my lib, I only want them to be able to do A and B, right? Or only do C. This index.ts file, this public exposure of our lib API gives us that ability to control what we allow other people that use this lib to use. So let me give you an example. Let's say we create a child component that this episode form uses. And it's purely a child support component that's going to support our episode form, but we don't have any intent of allowing other places to use that child component.
Yeah.
If we don't export it from this index.ts, then we don't have to worry about other places accidentally using that or using
right.
it in the wrong intent, right?
So how does our sign up scheduler guy know about our storybook index.ts? Like are we going to import it now, or is it just available in the mono repo?
Storybook is just the utility, right? For us to be able to run and work on these components in isolation, maybe to surface our documentation that helps us understand what our inventory of components are. That's what that's for. It's completely separate from when we talk about the actual application that we're building and the application using our components, right? Storybook is just like another app for our serving of our components. That's essentially what I kind of like to think about it is. It's just another app that we're using to render these components, and that's what its role is, right? So Storybook just lives as a utility part for that particular lib. When we go to use our component in our application, where Storybook's kind of out of the picture.
By putting the module in one file, though, it saves us here. We only need one export because that'll export both the component and the module. As of right now, that's my biggest holdup with Scam is to put them in the same file. In my opinion, they don't need to be the same file.
Oh, I
Same
love it.
file.
It's so clean. Oh, I love it.
But one of the kind of the benefits of that is that, like you mentioned, when I export this from this component file, right, it'll automatically export the ng module, but it'll also export whatever else we're exporting, right? In this case, we're exporting the component class. We have an interface for our API for our component, so it exports that. So now if somebody is using this, they also get kind of all of that as well. Plus and minus, right? It's plus that, okay, it makes this simpler. Minus because maybe we don't want to export the component or export this interface that this thing's using. Now we can always go boop, and remove that export and then ensure that it's private, right, to that lib.
Right.
But all things to think about from an architecture standpoint as we build and create these things. I was kind of, yeah, go ahead.
You exported in the index TS. Now, is it ready for us to use, or do we have to do something else to get access to it?
Yeah, so now that I've exported from there, our TypeScript short module path that we looked at, let's see, down here, right? Do we have one? We have one for UI common. So it's pointing to that index.ts file saying, hey, if somebody imports from this short path, hit this index.ts file and allow access to whatever that thing is exporting, right? So
classic substitution. Got it.
All right. So now we go back here and we're like, hey, will you find this? Found it. Oh, you don't see the over. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's prompting me, showing me like, what I can do. But because I'm sharing the VS Code window and not my desktop, you don't see like the context menu things that pop up.
Okay.
So just take my word for it for now. All right. So it found it, right? It did the import statement for us. It did the short path to UI common. That has that index.ts file that exports this module. So we're good. We got that. So now, because we're importing an Angular in our ng module, this other module, and this other module exports our component, we should be able to now use our component on our page. So let's go back to our sign up page component. We'll go to the HTML. We know it works, so we'll ditch that. And what is our tag for this? Our element selector, is it AA?
No, Mike wasn't doing that yet.
This is pre-AA run, right? So this is
episode.
AngularAir-episode-1.
Oh, you're using AngularAir?
This VS Code not predict this for me.
I know, I don't.
WebStorm does it, but okay.
You're good. That's what you need.
That's it?
Yep.
But you didn't close it.
I know. I was going to go see if that was exactly what I need, but he's telling me it's what I need. Okay, why is it squiggly? Is it not?
Episode 4.
You should be good.
Let me see.
That's what I have, right?
I'm confused. Are you sure you named it AngularAir, bro? Because I don't see that.
Yeah, look.
I'm looking at it right now.
You're looking
on my screen and Justin's screen.
Selector component.
I didn't even use Sass. I just used CSS.
Episode form. I don't know. Can you run it? Like, is it there and it's just like your VS Code is go blipped?
Yeah, and the browser is saying that it can't.
Oh, the browser
known
also
it as a known component, right?
Mike,
so
why you push up my button?
Right, our module, and our module is exporting it.
Mm-hmm.
That seems fine, right?
Go to your module where you're pulling it in. Yeah, that all looks legit to me.
I'm confused. So you're exporting it in the index.ts. What in this mono repo is giving him access to index.ts? How does that
This
trickle up and then back down over to
short,
the
this
other app?
TS
That
config
one.
short path,
Gotcha.
right? So in TypeScript, we can define paths and we can say, hey, this short path maps to this particular file.
And then where are you using that short path on the library side of life?
In his module
Right
where
here.
he imports.
From that. And that works. Like that's not squiggling. So I think it has that, right? Like, can we prove that it's
Yes.
knows about it? Like,
so we don't get a compile error about this import coming in, right? But what we get is at the template level, it's saying it doesn't know about this element, ng error episode form.
Hold on. Pause. You're doing this at the scheduler feature episode request module, right?
Correct.
Where is the component that you're doing?
Right here.
Okay. And where module is that being declared in?
It is in its own scan.
Then that's where you need to
Disco.
import this the form module is in this component.
Yep. And we're not importing this. Where are we importing this somewhere? We're not even using that. So for our page component, should we ditch this module and just bring it
because
into
that
our
should be just used
feature
at the router
Let's
module
do
level.
this. Right. Yep. Oh, and I hit the wrong button.
You're good. You want to get rid of that? You're good.
I'm good on that. On what you're seeing on my screen, everything went away.
Oh,
I'm good though. I settled it. I'm fine. Okay. Right. So I'm gonna go back in here. I'm gonna say I got 2 declarations. While I'm doing this, I want to ask: how do you two and everybody on our stream do you prefer to do like a single kind of an array for your components and then put them in the declarations and exports as
hold
an
on.
array, or do you define them separately like this?
Stop. Why are you exporting this component?
I'm confused.
I'm not.
I'm not.
I don't know what you saw. What did you see?
Yeah, like it was a ghost or something.
Does that
What?
see anything there?
I think that my
That was
approach
cute.
is that if it's minimal and we're talking like a handful, I'll leave it in line. If it gets to be unruly and larger than say 3, 4, 5 is when I'd look into creating that as a separate array.
I didn't know that was a thing, like that people did that. That's funny. You just like make as many as you want. I don't. That's just like what.
So kind of like that.
Oh,
where
like that.
you're like, look,
yes,
instead of listing it twice for each of these arrays, I could just have
I
one
see.
array that has all my components that I'm going to declare and export.
I think that's super sexy. Why wouldn't you do that all over the place?
Well, because let's say you have 5 components and 3 of them you want to export and 2 you don't.
Yeah.
Now you're like, what do I do there?
What
Another array?
combinations? Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's ways about
Bye,
but
Lars.
just situations.
This episode's been much nicer where I just get to sit back and talk.
All
Hey,
right.
Mike, you need to push up that button fix, bro. I need to see
what
I was angularing wrong.
Alyssa, this is a teachable moment. I'm waiting for the opportunity to share my screen.
Oh, so excited.
All right. We are at the top of the hour, so we better wrap up. But let me just show, now that we have our component rendering on the screen, I'll go to the browser and we'll see it. And we'll see this amazing form component on our route.
So I don't get
browser is not. Oh, there it is. Okay, see.
There it is. So we got our episode request.
4201/episode request. Oh, I'm so excited.
We got our UI component brought in and there we go. So now we've got the scaffolding set up for our scheduler app, our feature module for that, our consumption of one of our UI common components in that feature. We are on a path, I believe.
Yeah, Sai said, why does Mike remind me of my teacher at school who just monitors me while I'm making a mistake and then tells me after, hey, by the way, you made a mistake. Yeah, that's Mike. Yeah, that's Mike.
If you don't let people make mistakes they won't be able to learn from them.
Justin, I've learned so much in this episode, and I'm so excited to go and make my own route. Oh, it's gonna be awesome. And I might
Nice. Because you're working on that episode list, right? That
Yeah.
means you can make the admin feature. So make that admin feature and add that, and then you can add your
can't
component to that admin feature.
But like, where does your opinions on like separation via route? Like does everything really need to be its own route? You know, like, or should we have the schedule over here and a sidebar that's all of the scheduled items, and you know, like, which I guess, you know, obviously admin things go on their own thing, but like, I guess I'm just like, not every component gets its own route, right? We have to like, I don't know,
Not every
group it
component.
together.
No.
Right.
Every page component, as Justin explained why he pulls those aside. If it's a component that can be routed to, then it goes in its own library/feature module. Excuse me.
If it's a component that can be routed to. No, that doesn't compute, because like we're gonna have an admin view. An admin view can have more than one component that will be on it. So what?
So I start thinking about it in terms of again, going back to taking all the information, all the parts and things that I can think about and bring that to the table to help make those decisions. So when we talk about routing, and we talk about, especially when we talk about lazy loading routes, it provides us this opportunity to say, we're going to deliver a smaller bundle size to the client. And then on demand, when we know they're going to this location, we'll load more. So one of the benefits of partitioning things up with the routes in Angular is this opportunity to say, let's deliver smaller bundles faster, and then, you know, reveal stuff later.
What are you rate? I
raised my hand to add to that.
Tell
you
me.
know what else we could explore with that, Justin? If we're making all of our routes lazy loaded, is we can look at doing a custom preload strategy so that our routes could be lazy loaded, but not lazy loaded on demand, but lazy loaded when the browser is just chilling there doing nothing.
Right. And so the routing gives us that scaffolding that allows us to explore all those different potentials, right? But it comes at a little bit of an expense in terms of a mental model of what it means to build that and organization and things like that, right? So I always kind of just look at it and go, well, maybe I can have just a single component and it has UI pieces that it's conditionally rendering, and I don't need routes for each of those UI pieces to show up. I can just do all that orchestration at the UI component level or the component level, right? But maybe I do want to say, hey, I only want to deliver this part if they're actually going to it, or if they're requesting it, and I can shrink that bundle size, get faster time to interaction. Like all those parts of the equation can come into play in terms of making that decision of, do I partition what I see on the screen out into smaller routes, or do I, deliver one and have the components make those decisions? Make sense? lots of stuff.
I am going.
Can you remove Alyssa from the stream? She's making nervous.
Sorry, I hope I didn't break you.
Mike was like, "Hey, you barely understand lazy loading. Let's make it 10 times more complex." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on board for that. Sounds like a normal Tuesday." So
we're talking about building the 5-layer cake. We need to build the base layers first, and then we add on to it.
Okay, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to go off stream and I'm going to do exactly what Justin did today, but for my own business, my own pieces. And then you two are going to look at it and be like, let's take it up a notch. And then that's how we're going to handle it, because I need to. You
need to pair with me on that so that I can watch you make mistakes and correct you later.
Just like size teacher. Yeah.
Teacher Mike.
No, I will, for sure.
Yeah.
I know we've been talking about like streaming to like Twitch. We need to set something up so that we can do some AngularAir off hours business things. So
yeah, it's definitely fun. I enjoy it. The collaboration, and it's fun. I would just say the takeaway, like again for me, is I recommend, whatever you're diving into, just try and collect all the information and thoughts and think about these things and bring them to your table before you make a decision, to try and see if you've got everything that you've projected or thought about that could help influence your decision of what direction you're going to take. And then
you guys
with
just
all
think about things so differently, because before, like when I work on projects like this, it's always UI first, and you get all of those pieces like exactly where they need to be. And then from there, it's like, okay, now like what like component does that need to be in and group it, or
Right.
what, you know, like, and then break it from there. So you guys like are thinking of it without a view layer, and I'm just like mystified at the ability of your brains to do that. I'm
I
like,
think for me,
what?
it's
That's where the wheels fall off my car, is when the view comes into play.
it comes into play. I think for me, it's just, years and years of doing it.
Doing
I've been
it.
exposed to and seeing scenarios and stuff. And so all
Uh-huh.
that, experiences of going through those things provide me with more information to make those decisions, right? Or to bring that. And
Mm.
again, for me, it's just I think about that stuff and then I apply that when I try and make my plan and make an intent for it. And then at the end of the day, I feel good about whatever I decide to go with. And I try and block out, and I recommend everybody like block out, external influences and things like that that may make you feel like you're making a wrong decision. Like if you come to the table with your information and you make an intentful decision, then that's okay. That's great. That you're on track. I mean, for me, I feel like you're on track and you're developing with the tools that you have the solution that you need, right? And feel
I
good
love
about
that.
that.
I really love that. And Sai said, will we be using NGXS in the coming episodes, and looking forward to that kind of discussion. I don't know. Are we planning on, is that a, I don't
I
know.
have strong opinions, but I think
Like,
that's
I
pretty much
personally
it.
don't know where that fits into this. Like I can't remember what NGXS is. So
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
go
I
with
don't
my
know.
I'm gonna go with my general statement about this and say bringing in another library is a dependency, and whenever you're bringing a dependency, you need to think about the pros and cons of bringing in a dependency. Whatever that dependency may be, think about what problem is it solving for you, and what are the costs of bringing that in to solve the problem that way. And it's something that we should evaluate. So if it comes up where there's a need that we need to do something that would handle state for us, then we'll have that discussion of, hey, how do we want to handle our state in the application?
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And here's the cool thing. We have so many years of content through AngularAir that all the stuff we've been talking about, we have episodes that cover that. We have NGX episodes, right? We have
Can
we
we
talk
have an
about
episode
Husky.
where we watch an episode?
What are those called? Where you're like
That's
watching a
a
show and
watch
you're
party.
commenting on
Let's
it?
do
A
a
watch
watch party. Oh my gosh. We need to schedule that. That we could,
party.
yes, let's totally do that. We could do a watch party of past episodes and kind of go over like what we've covered. Yeah.
Mm.
Ooh,
I
that's a
I'm
great idea, Mike.
I'm
I think we
really
could do an
loving this
episode.
series though. Like, I think we
Yeah, it's
should
fun.
keep this going in between episodes of scheduled guests, just because I'm learning so much, and I feel like it's just so valuable to have that, where we're taking these pieces, like you said, that we're learning throughout like different episodes with guests and things, and then pulling them in. So I love it.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Do we want to do any picks?
Yes, I have one
Okay.
pick. 1 week from today, same time, we're doing this again.
All right. It's a good pick.
And I'll be on UI Mondays on my Code It Live Twitch channel. I'm just gonna be sprucing up the UI of our components a little bit, cleaning them up, looking at inspiration, maybe pulling in some. Why are you laughing at me? We should not have a blue to red hover state. It doesn't need to exist. So
Okay.
that's where we're going to be working on Monday.
Look at the latest message in chat.
Oh yeah, we need an episode where Mike reviews everyone's code and roasts them. You mean every Friday? I'm kidding. These two gents are, I think, in the top 3 of the smartest programmers right now. So I'm honored.
Whatever,
I'm honored
whatever.
to get roasted
Your opinion.
any day.
That's fine. I appreciate it.
Your opinion? No, just in fact.
All right, I got a pick, and I'm gonna give a video game pick, and that's Elden Ring, because I've been playing the heck out of it. And
Did that recent? Is this a recent drop or?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. And it's got this very, Lord of the Rings, Skyrim feel to it. It's been a blast. The multiplayer is a little rough to get to your co-op playing with your friends, but once you get kind of figured out, it's not too bad. And I can't stop playing it. I love it. Awesome. It's fun.
Is it a pretty big map, like a pretty big world?
Oh yeah, it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's awesome.
It's so pretty, and it's like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm right there with you though.
I love that.
Like whenever, like I go back and I play Skyrim now, and I'm like, oh, I remember when this looked so good.
Yeah.
So I'm right there with you. I'm excited to try it. I've been playing the Witch Queen DLC on Destiny so much, and I mean the Destiny numbers. This DLC are actually like back to original numbers. I don't know what they
Okay.
did, but like the story, the experience, the gameplay, like it's beautifully written this time, and I hope that they keep this going because it's just a totally different drop. So I'm really excited to be playing it. But I did see Elden and wanted to get on that. So when I have time.
All right.
Yeah, thank
All
you,
right.
chat, so much. They're saying thank you. I just love the chat, love the vibes. So thanks for being here with us.
It's been awesome. All right, everyone. Till next week. See yous.